everyone, this is Krista and this is Raphael, and we are back for our third bridling demo. So if you are new to this channel, I post whatever I want, whenever I want, but I mainly focus on horses, personal finance, and time management for horse owners and equestrians because I have 4 horses and I never have enough time or money to work with them properly, I feel. So that is of a big interest to me. So if you are interested in that same thing, feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell if you'd like to be notified every time I post a new video. So like I said, today is our third video. We have 2 others. First of all, I just wanted to make a quick disclaimer. I am not a professional horse trainer. I am just documenting my experience with my 4 horses. So hopefully these tips that I share will help you in some way. If you do feel like they help, feel free to smash the like button. This horse has been a particularly difficult horse for me to bridle. And in my first 2 videos, I shared several principles that I have learned both throughout the years and from very prominent horse trainers. I'm going to post them here briefly so you can look at them. They're very easy concepts, 2-word concepts to understand if you get in a bind and you need to remember something really quickly. Like I said, I'm not going to explain them right now, but if you are interested, you can watch this video to the end and I will have some cards that link to the other 2 videos. Or you can access them from the show notes below and I will link them there as well. So, today I'm going to be focusing on 2 additional training techniques. The one has a story behind it. I recently had a equine chiropractor out to see a couple of my other horses, and she has given me a couple of exercises to do with them, which are beneficial to most horses. And actually I have done them in my past video, and it's basically just kind of working with the horse, suppling body parts. I have done this with Raphael. The main one, of course, is getting him to lower his head, because this gets the horse a little bit more focused, and with a lower head position he's not as distracted. He can usually maintain a little bit more, he can usually become a little bit more calm. And I've also bent his head from left to right, which I can do this as well. Again. Do that here. He's a little stiffer on this side. And then one thing she had me do is she had me manipulate my horse's mouth, and if you have a horse that is going to be taking a bit, sometimes this is good to just get his mouth a little bit more mobile. So we'll work on this concept today. The other concept that I have for you is one that I've used for a long time. It can apply to any type of horsemanship, not just, a problem with bridling, but a problem with riding or other types of horse behavior problems. And that is called disengagement of the hindquarters. This is commonly used in procedures like one-way stops. Interestingly enough, in dressage, we often talk about engagement of the hindquarters, which is helpful if you want to have the horse tap into his power. So that will help with things like impulsion when you're riding. We use disengagement of the hindquarters when we want to diffuse the power of the horse. Because if the horse is moving his back feet or disengaging his hindquarters, he can't tap into the power that can allow him to do things that can be a little bit scary and detrimental, like rearing or just bracing in general or flipping his head. So we're going to work on that as well. So before I get the bridle, again, I'm going to do a few little flexions with him. So again, we want to lower his head. Does that well. Flex him left and right. Does that well. And manipulate his jaw a little bit so he doesn't lock up his mouth. This is really good. It works, you know, all the muscles and stuff in his jaw and flexes them out, so it kind of supples his head. There we go. And then I'll work a little bit too on disengaging the hindquarters. So I'm going to bend him here, and then I'm going to just press here. If I can get him so he kind of leans into me here, I like him a little bit more flexed through his neck and his hole. So I'll bend him there, and then I just flex him. Good job, buddy. We can do that on the other side as well. I hope you guys can see me. I don't have a camera that moves today. So this is the other side. Okay, so he's a little bit locked up here, as you can see, on this side. Of course, I'm not going to be bridling him from this side, but it would be nice if we can be supple on both sides. There you go. Good boy. Okay, so now I am going to get the bridle. There's one other thing I forgot to mention. Raphael kind of has this little trigger point here. He's a head flipper. And so one thing I noticed is he often flips his head, well, like that. But he often flips his head when I put my hand over his face like this. So I'm going to try to get him to lower and keep him like this. And he does feel a little bit more braced, you know, after the flexion. He feels a little bit more braced and panicky. So if I have to, I can come back and do this flexion again. Disengage the hindquarters. He's a little braced in here. So obviously he's not perfect at bridling right now. But we've been making progress, and that's part of our journey, and part of the journey of working with these horses. So I'm gonna make him disengage his hindquarters again. One of the other concepts One of the other concepts I've worked on is, I call it the bunny basket, and you can learn about that in my last video. Okay, so I'm going to do this again. He does not like this, obviously. This is his trigger point. I have worked on this a bit, but I don't know if you can see me. I have gone out of the camera. I have worked on this a bit, but he still has a problem with it, obviously, and it requires a lot of work. Come on, don't do that. Okay. Good. No? Good. I haven't even got the bridle yet. There we go. That's better. Okay, so I'm going to get the bridle here. Get your head over there. Okay, so we're back. There are some distractions going on in the background. My wife has been cleaning stalls and she's bringing the wheelbarrow up. So sometimes that can be a problem if you're working with a horse with a challenging problem like this. I'm going to again put my hand over his nose. Good boy. He's not reactive here. Now I'm going to start bringing the bridle up to his face. And again, he is reactive. If he does this, I can rely on negative reinforcement, which is just keeping my hand here until he stops that behavior and then taking it away. Got a few issues. I'm going to try to get him to lower his head again. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to try to bring the bridle up to his face. Good boy. Okay, so he's pretty good right now as far as the head flipping is going. Oh, there he goes. I'm going to keep this here until he stops flipping his head. Good boy. And then I'll take it off when he stops flipping his head to reinforce the good behavior. This process is called negative reinforcement. You can find out about it in the first video I have in this series. Okay, we're going to put his head down a bit again. Stop. He also is very pushy. Right there, I just kind of use punishment, which is not a super effective method of dealing with your horses. It's getting me a little bit frustrated here. So this is the other, one of the other principles I talked about called the bunny basket. He's pawing. He's starting to get in a process where he's not being very easy to work with. And in that case, sometimes I will just try to diffuse his frustration or fear. He's not fearful. He's just being frustrating right now, and he's probably bored. Stop. So again, we're going to try the bridle. If not, I may just like trot him around a little bit, move him to his feet, because he's starting to get a little bad again. So I'm going to put the bridle back here with his feet.
I'm going to interrupt this video with a voiceover here. My plan was to show how great my horse was to bridle and how much he had improved from the first video. Well, that obviously didn't happen. Raphael, as usual, was still being a complete jerk and started to frustrate me in the process. Ironically, I had practiced bridling him several times between the time I filmed my last video and this one, with fewer problems than I had experienced with this one. So hindsight is 2020, and for the rest of the video, I wanted to shift my perspective to looking at it as an observer, so we can try to learn from my experience and having this demo go south. Here I am lunging my horse to diffuse some of his tension and obstinance. Throughout this video so far, you've probably observed just how tense, fidgety, and pushy Raphael is with these types of behaviors.
So I'm just going to move him around. See if this diffuses some of his pent-up, whatever he's got going on, frustration, or he's not scared, I don't think. He doesn't act scared. He's kind of bratty. Okay, and then we'll go back to the bridle. All right, let's go back. Ironically, he seems to do this exercise much better when I'm not filming.
Didn't I just say that? Why is that? Let's break this down. So in the process of doing my intro where I tell you to subscribe and ring the bell for my video, by the way, if you haven't done so yet, please like and subscribe to my video so YouTube knows how to push out my content to more horse people who can learn from my mistakes. My horse became increasingly impatient and restless. So again, he was filling up his bunny basket and losing any tolerance or willingness to engage with me during the bridling process. And he got to this point. Also, my focus was distracted and divided between talking to the camera and working with Raphael. Again, in hindsight, I should have been focusing 100% of my attention on working with this horse. Horses with behavioral issues like this do not afford us the luxury of having divided attention. So in future videos with Raphael, I will probably not try to narrate during the time I'm working with him. Always a learning process.
Okay, I'm going to put this over his nose here. Okay, I'm going to keep my hand here until he stops slipping his head. There you go. Then I will take it off when he stops slipping his head. I don't have carrots. Stop.
Okay, now both Raffies and my bunny baskets are getting full. Yes, the bunny basket principle can be applied to people as well as horses. So what do we do at this point? We will both need to empty some bunnies, so that means we have to take a break or diffuse this tension somehow. Interestingly enough, my work with getting Raphael to lower his head has seemed to give him another idea for evading my bridling attempts. In addition to flipping his head, he is now curling his head backwards to avoid me putting the bit in his mouth. I have to hand it to this horse. He's almost ingenious in his evasion techniques.
What are you doing? Stop it. Okay, so what he just did was an evasion technique. And now he's starting to put his head really low when I try to bridle him. Okay, so now I got it under his head here. Phew! Okay, there we go. So, in assessing my horse, I have been having problems with him flipping his head. So I've been getting him to lower his head. Now he has developed an evasion technique of putting his head way down. Stop.
Luckily, I was able to slip the bit in his mouth during a moment when he was temporarily distracted. But since the demo had pretty much evolved into a training wreck by this point, I decided to reshoot the entire video. Since Raphael was pretty fried and my patience was also wearing quite thin, our second attempt did not go any better, even though I spent more time lunging him, trying to diffuse his tension and anxiety and get him more relaxed. He just grew more obnoxious. I did get the bridle on during my second attempt though, and it took less time than it had in my first attempt. But it's clear Raphael's issues go beyond just being difficult to bridle. My game plan at this point is to take a couple of steps backwards and focus on modifying his pushy and anxious behavior. This pertains to the Donkey Kong principle I discussed in my second video.
I'm going to look at this video. I might end up doing again, reshooting, because he's not being very cooperative today either. I'm going to actually take his halter off. Now, the first time I did this, I kind of just pulled it out of his mouth, which now that I think about it, it was probably not the best idea. I probably should have done this a little bit more gently, which I'm going to take the halter off underneath his bridle. But I'm going to try to be a little bit more gentle when I do this with his mouth. That. He just has this weird head poking thing, and I think it's just I'm not really sure what it is. It's like a behavioral issue. There you go. We hopefully that is good. My horses do seem to be a lot more. They seem to get a little bit more frustrated and bored or whatever when I'm videoing them. and cause me more problems. I don't have this many problems when I'm not videoing. I took a little bit less time here to bridle him than I did for my last video. He has gotten better, but he's just a difficult horse to work with because he is very impatient and does not focus on me. He focuses on what he wants to focus on. So anyways, I hope that helps. If you like this video, please smash the like key. Like I said, we really work hard at these videos. Raphael too. And if you would like to see more content like this, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell if you'd like to be notified every time I post a new video. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Stay inspired, and I will see you in the next video.